Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to the finals of the $300 minimum 4v4 variant taking place here on January 9th between Zodiac and EZG. It should be an interesting one to watch, And, of course, it's myself, Lando Sanders, of course, here live in the UMG studio, joined alongside by Jen, a.k.a. Lemon Kiwi from home. Jen, it's time to look at here from the overhead point of view, because, unfortunately, we're stuck on the Concaster in this particular point of view. Of course, we do apologize for that. It's a glitch in the Concaster system that we can do. But, Jen, your thoughts when it comes into St. Marie-Dumont between both these teams. We know how this map plays. It's a lot bigger. We talk about rotations, etc. I want to know, who are you favoring, and what are your kind of players you're looking out for when it comes down to this particular map?
Well, I think before that, EZG and Gravity, I gave the edge to Gravity, and it was EZG that came out with the 2-0 and a very close hard point that I believe EZG members tweet out, like 250 to 214, and then the S&D win. We don't know what the exact score of that was, but Zodiac is the one starting off really hot right now. They started off with the triple kill, and also in the point advantage, stacking all the members that they can here into Restaurant. In the last 16 seconds, you're going to see rotations over into Winery, where EZG currently have all their players stacked towards that side of the map. So Zodiac now looking to break it, holding the last couple seconds here to start with a huge advantage.
And I think it's actually kind of happens to be a perfect moment. You know, while we are unfortunately stuck in the overhead point of view when it comes to Concaster, this is probably the best map to be looking at it from this overhead point of view on, just because of the fact that we talk about how important spawns are and how important the hardpoint number 2 and hardpoint number 3 are on Winery, and when it comes to the parking lot. These are two hard points where you can absolutely take a huge chunk of that time and either turn it into a lead or a comeback. And of course, we talk about the first few seconds. We see a lead kind of early established from the guys on EZG. They prefer that sub play. That's where they dominate in bottom red. But rotation coming in toward Winery lot, we see the rotation early, one from the guys on Zodiac. However, a pinch starts to come in. Parzelion and Stumpfy combine for a few, and just like that, they have taken over Winery, and I love that early rotation coming in from those three players through mid. They realize the situation at hand. They say, hey, Stumpfy's got the time inside of the hill. It's time to make that rotation. They realize how important parking lot is, but this is the issue, and Baker is picking up kills in quick succession, shuts down the entire setup from the guys on EZG. He lingers through mid-street and drops them one by one. Rotation unsuccessful for EZG. While they do take the last few seconds inside of Winery, it's the back-to-back early setup rotations from Zodiac that currently have them in the lead right now, as Apox also finding 3. Not just the lead, but also the current hill control.
Mike, just Apox is insane this map. He's starting off 11-3, 11-4 now. He's the one that got a triple into Restaurant. Now it's Baker's turn to get the triple. What in the world? Zodiac are on fire in terms of the kill feed. The score wasn't that big of a difference here into parking lot. We could see this solid hold. They're even spreading around the hard point, stopping EZG from coming in onto rotation. Finally seeing some kills from EZG. They're sending JHaze in and Atura here on the other side. This could be a break for EZG, but no, Baker again all over your kill feed. Zodiac are unstoppable. They hit the 100-point mark now, heading into heading into lookout post in the next 10 seconds. EZG have those early rotations.
And when players are going off like that, unfortunately, Baker, we do apologize, man. I mean, you are absolutely destroying at the moment on an 8-kill spree as the streak spreading from the skies. Don't find any kills, but it most likely does provide a little bit of that information. Lookout post. You can definitely grab quite a few seconds on it. It's definitely better than bottom red, but not much better at that, as both teams most likely going to be fighting neck and neck throughout most of this hill, as kills do start to be kind of slowly traded back and forth, but kind of discuss how both these teams have gotten here. It hasn't been an easy fight by any means. As Jump comes from the skies and picks up 3 kills again. 4 triple kills in the first side of rotations from the guys on Zodiac, as the reason why they have this lead obviously shows in the score 123-48. But like I said, discussing how both these teams have gotten here, it was Zodiac who had a pretty easy victory versus Gone Gaming in their semifinal matchup. They won that one in a hot 2-0, which obviously got them to the point where they're at right now. EZG, on the other hand, it has been more of a difficult run for them. They haven't really been the favorable, I think it's fair to say, team when it comes down to a lot of their matchups. They take out Lethal Gaming in quarters in the map number 3, and they just took out Gravity Gaming, like you said, Jen, in a hot 2-0. Probably in both of those matches, I'm not going to lie, probably not favoring EZG. Maybe it's just because of the fact that we haven't been able to watch them play, or maybe we have a lot more respect when it comes to Lethal Gaming and, Gravity's play in past. But this team is obviously here for a reason. They're currently struggling when it comes down to St. Marie-Dumont. But I think, generally, looking at the overall kind of landscape of this series, map 1 being St. Marie-Dumont, map 2 being London Docks, and map 3 being Flak Tower, if I know anything about these last two maps is It looks like, at least for right now, Apox and Co are having a field day. But if I know anything about these last two maps, these are very sub-heavy maps, ones that are going to be constantly in your face, and a little bit, that obviously kind of favors the guys on EZG. That's where it kind of favors Stumpfy. That's where it kind of favors JHaze. These guys can dominate with the SMGs, but you also have to be keeping in mind as three-piece after three-piece after three-piece comes through, I mean, how much of that momentum are you going to take into a map like that when you're being crushed in a map #1 hardpoint like we're seeing right now?
Well, Zodiac, I mean, started off with a huge momentum in this map. They were able to build kill streaks so early and have them in the bank for the rest of this hardpoint. You saw them bring it out here on the restaurant. You saw it in the previous lookout post how they were able to break the setup from EZG when they had those early rotations. So even if EZG are able to rotate properly, we've seen them on Winery Hill, how they're able to take that. But now that Zodiac have so many kill streaks in the bank, and even bringing this one here onto Winery Lot, now they're able to use it to defend the hill. Just like that, another bomb drops onto Stumpfy's head, where you see Mike Apox, 26 kills, is doubling all the kills on the side of EZG.
Yeah, he is just absolutely going off. Him, Baker, now over a double positive jump, 21 and 15. Well, Tisch obviously is currently negative. I mean, kills are difficult to come by, I think it's fair to say, at this current moment, as Apox finishes off the final two again. This is just absolutely heartbreaking if you are the guys on EZG, because you're fighting for these, obviously very important rotations. You're fighting for a lot of this big time, but essentially this is where they have to bring this game back. This is what kind of makes or breaks this St. Marie Dumont for map #1. They have to lock things down a parking lot. This can bring them back into the game for the most part, or we can see the guys on Zodiac continue their dominance, find those streaks, use those kind of score streaks as they're using them right now, as Apox finds one with the glide bomb. But they have to hold it here. This is where the game can easily come into a cross, as you can actually see here right now. The guys from EZG are having a difficult time just hopping into the hardpoint. Even though they've won the rotation, the first 20 points don't really even go anyone's way, because they can't hop in the hardpoint because the streaks are being reined in constantly. So this is obviously going to be a little bit of a problem as the fighter pilot starts to come through. Baker finding 2, finding 3, as that is, at least on record, the 4th triple kill from one player, and overall the 8th triple kill as a team from the guys on Zodiac, as they are just having a field day when it comes down to this match. This is obviously as a preferred map of theirs, and facing off, like I said, against a very talented sub-team like EZG. They're kind of out of their element right now, and it's showing.
I think you hit the nail on the head that they're having a field day with the streaks, and really the only hill on this entire map that has any cover is Restaurant, and they still actually pulled out streaks on the Restaurant to stop the rotation from EZG coming in the hill. So although EZG were set up around parking lot, they got completely rained down from Baker and the triple kill coming in. And look at that, Brett again with the double kill, Baker with the 3rd. EZG, although they have the rotations, they don't have the kills to hold it after that. Here into lookout post, Zodiac most likely gonna close out this hard point here unless EZG have something to say about it. Baker and Brett all over your kill feed here. 30 kills for Apox, 30 kills for Brett, and Baker's probably looking for the 30 as well. We're on the side of EZG. They're looking at least for the 20 bomb.
They absolutely are, and right now, if you're EZG, you're most likely in the calm, saying, you know what, guys, this comeback is possible, which, obviously in our minds, it's definitely very unlikely. It obviously is possible, but they're obviously kind of focusing their attention towards search and destroy. What can we kind of do to bring things back, which I think is a very kind of important thing to be keeping in mind, is when you are a pro player, when you're even an amateur player, whatever level of a COD player that you are, if you're playing competitive, it's about having that short-term memory loss, not remembering what happened in that last hard point, not remembering what exactly kind of took place there. You're just trying to focus on a new game mode, and at least trying to grab some late-time momentum. So I think, granted, it is kind of unscathed. It's not really a lot of time that's really going to matter as far as the series is considered for this map, especially, but at least it's kind of like late-game momentum. We're seeing EZG start to kind of pick things up, and you like to imagine after a big victory versus Gravity, where they win 2-0, they've got to have as much momentum as the guys on Zodiac are having, if not more, because of the level of competition that was in the series for EZG rather than the one for Zodiac. So I think they're taking a lot of this kind of late-game momentum as they're starting to kind of get picked off here in bottom red, as I believe one player kind of stands in the way. But just like that, this map will come to a close. It's good to see them kind of playing a little bit better. EZG started to catch a little bit of momentum, but when you're obviously down the way that you are, I think I counted 8 total triple kills as a team, 4 triple kills coming from one player alone throughout just one map. I mean, that's unbelievable to see, as we obviously get to witness Baker finding one of those 4 triple kills from one player alone, as that was just utter dominance. And just goes to show, when it comes down to the Zodiac team, all of them can go off. This is what I've talked about. Consistency is so key for a group like this. Jump finishes off 34 and 22. Apox 30 and 17. Baker 22 and 15. I mean, that is consistency at its best kind of mark. And I think generally when we obviously talk about a dominant victory, most likely you're going to see, especially in a dominant victory like that, you're going to see teams obviously play consistent. Why? Because no one's really going to be having a hard time. But generally, in a lot of their victories, everyone's kind of playing pretty well. I think it's fair to say, Jen. I mean, like in their victory versus Zodiac, or their victory versus Gone Gaming, for Zodiac, there wasn't really one guy who I was looking at and saying, wow, like that's without question the guy to be looking at. This is the guy who you kind of makes or breaks the team. Like no, like I said, Baker can go off. We obviously seen Apox have a phenomenal kind of series overall in Search and Destroy and Hardpoint alike, and this is just kind of a very complete group, which obviously has got to be worrying if you're on the side of EZG.
Of course, and I want to highlight also a player on EZG who's been performing very well throughout this entire tournament. So that's Parzelion, who dropped 48 kills against in the hardpoint against the series against Gravity, and now here he started going on a bit of a streak at the end of Restaurant before, of course, Zodiac took it back and won the hardpoint. But he ended up getting streaks off of Restaurant Hill and, you know, starting to turn things in favor of EZG, but the lead was way too large in favor of Zodiac for EZG to come back from, unless they played an absolute perfect hardpoint. Nonetheless, maybe EZGs need to get warmed up, or maybe they're just running out of steam, perhaps after the win against Gravity. Nonetheless, we do go into Search and Destroy on London Docks, where I want to get your thoughts on maybe any predictions or how you think this is going to go.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's kind of a good thing to kind of bring up with EZG before I kind of give my predictions on the Docks, is the fact of, you know, is it just a slow map, or is it maybe running out of steam? I think that's definitely something that we can kind of bring up. They faced off against pretty stiff competition up until this point. Maybe the strategies just aren't maybe as there. The guns aren't firing as hot as they, previously were. But I think when it comes to the London Docks Search and Destroy, this is a team who prefers those up close and personal fights. They're very talented when it comes down to the subs. We obviously talk about the games that they ended up winning in their last series versus Lethal Gaming in quarters. Well, they obviously win Hardpoint on Gibraltar. I think that was a pretty close game that they ended up winning. And they ended up winning London Docks CTF 6-2 versus a very talented Lethal Gaming team at that. So they're very good at the up-close fights. They're very talented with the sub pressure. Even on Gibraltar, I think we were seeing them rock 3 subs, with Parzelion rocking the only assault rifle for their team, except for maybe like a hill or two. But regardless, they were playing very sound with the SMGs up close. And it has really been, I think you were saying it, Stumpfy, who has been dominating with the sub up close. I mean, he's been constantly in the face of the enemy. And I think this is kind of a good point to bring up about this team, is that I think Stumpfy, and I was bringing this up whenever they were playing against Lethal, is that he kind of reminds me of like a Kenny from TK type of scenario. At least when we were talking about their last Hardpoint versus Lethal Gaming, was that he was always kind of in their face, kind of always pushing for spawns. I mean, he was literally kind of flanking and trying to hold spawns for his team as a sub player, which is not at all characteristic, at least in past titles. Of course, the patch can kind of change things, but I mean, he was just kind of wrecking players and just kind of being in their face. That fast kind of reaction time was definitely working out in his favor, and that's exactly what Kenny does from Team Caliber. He's not a guy to hop in the hardpoint. You oftentimes see him with a sub rifle or with a sub machine gun in his hands, not grabbing a whole lot of hill time. But what he's doing is constantly picking players off their spawn, kind of limiting the numbers as the opposition tries to run inside the hardpoint to where they only have 2-3 players kind of entering inside of a hill. And that's exactly what this guy does. Of course, hardpoint no longer is obviously on the plate for this series, but Search and Destroy, like I said, they prefer the up close fights. London Docks, no matter what game mode it's in, it plays quick. Search and Destroy rounds alike, these are going to go by pretty fast. So I think this overall does kind of favor the side of EZG. I'm predicting them to win the Search and Destroy. I think Zodiac, without question, can be a problem. I think Apox is going to be kind of dominating with that sniper rifle from time to time if he wins to kind of pull it out. But generally, when it comes down to this match, what we noticed in the Search and Destroy for EZG is they don't mind. They obviously realize who they're facing off against, especially in their series versus Lethal. They realize on St. Marie du Mont that, hey, B-site probably isn't going to work out for us because we're kind of playing head-to-head Search and Destroy versus a very talented team. So let's try something else. And when it comes to London Docks, you can work both sides. That one over on A, which is going to be on Dock side, can be used, can be utilized, and with Apox most likely going to have that sniper rifle out, they have to be aware. It's going to use that utility correctly, toss out those smokes, enter into that site, and a lot of the times it's going to come down to an SMG battle. One on a head glitch, one inside the docks. And so I think if they have Parzelion kind of playing correctly, if they have the kind of unit working as they should be, I think they can take the Search and Destroy. And I was also kind of talking about coming into this series in total, was saying that I think that Zodiac, if they honestly want to have not that they aren't going to win this series or anything like that, I'm not kind of predicting that yet, but I think if Zodiac at least wants to have themselves in a better position for the series, they really need to win map number 1, because if not, you have an up-close fight, submachine guns in your face, search and destroy for London Docks, and then map number 3, you have Flat Tower CTF, which is probably, besides London Docks, of course, which is only 3 maps, but Flat Tower plays very fast as well. Callout's going to be very important. I know I talked about previous communication for EZG, Stumpfy, and Atura, I believe, who priorly played under the EZ brand back in AW, even in Black Ops 3 as well. So they kind of have that EZG, you know, kind of chemistry. And I really like the organization as far as EZG as well, because they kind of bring up their players. I've been casting over EZG since probably Black Ops 3, early Black Ops 3 as well, like Perfect Alliance matches. And they really kind of grow up their team. And I know with them priorly having like Paranoia, and later on, I believe along with Paranoia, it was Casmo, I think, as well, who they kind of used to kind of build the brand around. It's obviously kind of changed hands, different players here or there, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how this group can kind of do in this tournament, now with the kind of deficit that they currently face, along with their run, which could potentially be going on at CWL NOLA as well, which is obviously what both these teams are currently competing for. But very curious to see how Search and Destroy on London Docks obviously plays off. I'm saying EZG, Jen. I want to know what your thoughts are between both these teams. Do you think Zodiac closes this one out in a 2-0, or do you think EZG forces the map number 3?
I don't know. Zodiac plays so well on their previous Hardpoint, or sorry, in the previous S&D. As long as Tisch doesn't drop a 1-9, I think Zodiac are going to have a pretty good standing and bringing that momentum into the S&D. So I got to give the edge to Zodiac as we head into London Docks. And I think that's just all. I think that's all my comment is. It's just I hope Tisch is able to keep up with the rest of the squad. Yeah. But on the other side, EZG were able to bring out a surprising. I don't want to say surprising to put them down or anything, but to have that win against Gravity, not only on the Hardpoint but on the S&D as well, where they're also a high caliber S&D team as well.
Absolutely, and of course, as we do load in here for map number 2, immediately I see Parzelion rocking the FG. This is a guy who obviously, like I said, is the main assault rifle player for this roster, as I believe he just swapped back to the bar, but kind of showing off his classes, most likely going to be having an assault rifle throughout a lot of this game. And as we look through the classes of the guys on Zodiac, it looks like a pretty standard STG, PPSH play for the most part, not unorthodox whatsoever, especially being on defense, but be keeping in mind, Apox, right, throughout the rest of this series for Zodiac, could pull out a sniper rifle from time to time. But first offensive round underway, it will be in the hands of Atura, and of course EZG in total on the break. For that first blood, Parzelion finding that one onto Jump. Solid pick found. A little bit of early aggression being shown from Jump. Not exactly one that you like to be seeing, especially early on in this game, as he's already left his team at a disadvantage. Full control of that B bomb site, along with a man disadvantage, as it looks like Parzelion finds the second one as well. Off to a hot 2-0 start. Complete bomb control. This is looking good for EZG.
Yeah, and they're going to send Stumpy also at the very back. Unfortunately, he gets picked there from Tisch. They're able to get the bomb down not only with first, but with second blood as well. They lose a player in that process, but now huge advantage having the objective bomb down. Now Zodiac answering back here, sending Tisch and Baker against Atura and Parzelion, and this is going to be important, the gunfights. Oh, Tisch tries to move up, gets picked from the very back, and that's an easy win for EZG with, I believe, the ace for Parzelion.
I believe so, yeah, Parzelion finds the first 2 picks, obviously here in the Bronze Star. Finishes up the final 2 as well, and this kind of, to me, was really based off of that first gun engagement that we see from Parzelion. Taking it, I want to say it was Jump inside a closet. I mean, Jump kind of has that early aggression. Maybe he's kind of thinking as well in the back of the minds. Most likely we see EZG try a different strategy. Maybe they make their way toward A. But no, it's pretty much basic offensive strats when it comes to London Docks, making your way toward B, and it works out successfully for them. Why? Because they only have really one player positioned to try and stop them, and he was a little bit too over-aggressive and obviously pays for it. But looking on, Jump finding the first blood onto Stumpfy is going to be big. And it looks like they do have pretty much site control, except from one player lingering inside a cut, which actually is Atura. Taking out Jump, which is a big pick to find. Man with the bomb in his hands, no longer having it. And Baker having to wrap back around to try to pick that one up. Realizes where Atura's position most likely was. Here's the call out, and Atura is not moving from this top box position. As JHaze, his teammate, finishes off Tisch, this quickly turns now into an awkward spot for the offensive team, as now Zodiac now are down in man count and aren't even near each other. Both Baker and Apox are on opposite sides of the map.
If you remember, Zodiac also getting first blood should have given him a huge advantage going to this round. Now in a 2 versus 1, very important kill there from Baker. Has one last life against JHaze, able to pick that one up. But this was not a very good play at the beginning for EZG to send Stumpfy very aggressively across the bomb site versus the setup from the other side of, I believe, Zodiac, where he got easily picked and first blooded. giving EZG kind of a tough time dealing with the numbers after that.
And I got to say, in this round, right, we obviously see early kind of control be brought from Zodiac. EZG start to bring it in. They're in a 3 versus 2 position, and they don't clutch it out, right? 2 players on opposite sides of the map. I mean, honestly, if you play as a team, that's a 3v1 gunfight 2 times in a row, and they kind of challenge one by one, aren't able to find things, and that's just kind of sloppy play when you're on defense in that situation. So kind of this should be 2-0 in favor of EZG, but like I said, in fact, it's Baker and I believe Apox who do kind of clutch things out and provide that second total round going toward them. So with that in mind, we obviously saw a pretty dominant B-bomb site take on EZG's last offensive round. Now looking forward here, up close sub play is Jump going to let Atura know, as he does take him down for the second pick in this round number 3. Bomb down in an awkward spot. No one from EZG winning the gunfights they should. And now JHaze left in a pretty awkward position here, Jen. 1 versus 3, most likely at this point, waving that white flag.
Pretty much, and that's been 2 rounds in a row where Zodiac pick up first and second blood, and EZG not having an answer for Baker mid-map, who I believe got either 2, but might have been 3 picks just laying at that statue and waiting for EZG to cross, where he's just amazing at winning those very important gunfights. And maybe EZG need to send somebody mid-map to deal with Baker, because they've been stacking over at B and not watching their cross.
So now loading in here toward round number 4. Most likely going to be seeing the Zodiac attack. Same bomb site over and over until it obviously doesn't work anymore. But off the break, Stumpfy really needs to win this battle and isn't able to do it in back-to-back situations. We talk about his up-close search or SMG play. That's the guy who's really been kind of dominating for them when it came down to the respawns in their last series versus Lethal Gaming. He was the reason why they ended up making that victory happen, and he's obviously playing a little bit slow off the break, 0-4. But primarily, losing these first blood fights are huge. And right now, you see Baker, Jump, Tisch, all with first blood so far in this match. This Parzelion the only one to find a first blood, which obviously was in round number 1. So this is definitely looking to go the way of Zodiac yet again. And Apox, like I talked about, has the sniper rifle out. He can do it from time to time, as he does happen to find Parzelion, but at the same time, the nice drop shot comes in along with the team shot, taking out his teammate. And just like that, Baker versus JHaze, 1 versus 1. And actually, let's take a look at Baker's point of view really quick. I'm curious, does he have streaks? No, very close to those. So this is a huge round when it comes down to the offense, especially for Zodiac, but also huge when it comes down to the entire series for EZG and what is currently on the shoulders of JHaze, making his way potentially toward that A site, as he's not going to find anything as for now. But Baker, realizing the situation at hand, has to get the bomb down quickly, and it looks like JHaze doesn't fully check the A site, thinks that things are clear. And does he spot him as the thing? Does he spot out Baker? And no, he doesn't find it. A huge pick found for Baker as he gets the plant along with the kill. He secured streaks along with a 3rd round, as that is a major mishap for JHaze in that position. He checks over at A. He realizes the bomb is going down. And I'm not sure why he plays it the way he does. I'm not sure if he thinks that maybe that he's not going for the plant or whatever the situation was. But regardless, Baker clutches out a big win there, Jen, as now EZG in back-to-back situations, essentially, losing rounds that they probably should have won.
Baker, oh my goodness, working towards streaks, that's got to be stressful, because in the 1 versus 1, that was for the round, and another huge nade there from Apox for the first blood. This has been 4 consecutive rounds where Zodiac get the first blood, and Baker looking for the double digits, but at the end of the day, EZG only have 1 member remain, and that's one of their star players of Parzelion, the one who dropped a 40 bomb in his previous series. Now, can he do the 1v4? He's got time on the clock, but can't make anything happen when Zodiac are going to be stacked like that. So 4 consecutive rounds here for Zodiac, and it's not looking good for EZG.
And I believe Apox might have, I think, finishes off there with the hat trick in the round, finds the first 2 kills, and obviously finds the most important one, the one at the end there on Parzelion. And as it is currently 4 rounds to 1 in favor of Zodiac. I know you're talking about kind of consistency of this team. You're talking about first bloods. Well, every single player on Zodiac has a first blood so far, and it's obviously been in their last 4 rounds that they've won. So consistency definitely paying off, as Apox tossing out that pre-nade as his teammate Baker has success with 1. Why not toss out one himself? As a nearly finding one on Parzelion, but I like that rush coming in from Atura inside a barrel building. It's not expected. Granted, he does get traded out, but at least it's something new. It's at least something where they can kind of use that sub pressure to their advantage, as unfortunately, Tisch does take out his teammate. And now we find ourselves in a 1 versus 1, Parzelion versus Tisch. If you're EZG, if you're Parzelion, you have to win this one just to give your team a chance. Not just in this map, but in this series. And we talked about the kind of unfortunate situations that we've seen on B and on defense for EZG up to this point. Now it's Parzelion's turn. Checks the right corner, right time, right place as he'll shut down Tisch, and it at least gives EZG another opportunity to try to claw their way back into the search and destroy.
Well, it's been a while we've seen EZG win a round, and that was in the very first one. Finally, they're able to stay alive, and not only that, it's very important for them to win this round because when you're down 5-1, you have no breathing room to try new strategies, no breathing room to try something different or maybe something a little bit risky, high risk, high reward, like a rush or something like that. Zodiac now up still 2 rounds. They'll be onto the defense. We'll be looking at EZG rushing full out on the B side. Stumpfy getting a very important first blood, and especially clearing out that 0-6 that he had earlier. And EZG fully pushed through B, probably deciding to come back towards B. And I believe that streak's coming in from the side of Zodiac.
Yeah, that one's going to be coming in from Baker, most likely, the man who's literally sitting at 10-1. Talk about a dominant performance. The man's literally died one time. So with that in mind, pulling out not just one streak, but the second, the Wonder Strike along with the Glide Bomb, trying to take out Parzelion, but it looks like he will escape. So streaks use information gained, but no kills along with it. Tisch, however, does shut down Parzelion, so the full 4-man rush onto B. This is a big round if you are the side of Zodiac. Why? Because you've used 2 streaks in an offensive round that could go the way of EZG. This is a big one to lose, and just like that, Tisch drops. So the full 4-man rush onto the B bomb site for EZG. Granted, it looks like an odd strategy off the break, but this is what we were talking about in one of their Hardpoints earlier on in this tournament, Jen. I think it was you who was discussing and saying they're rushing everything as a team. I think it was actually on this map in CTF. They're rushing a certain lane as a team, as a full 4-man unit, and they can't be stopped when it comes down to certain things like that. They make a full 4-man rush onto that B bomb site. Literally, Baker uses 2 streaks and doesn't find any kills. I think Tisch finds a pick off of it. But still, besides that, nothing really gets found from it. So 2 streaks used or wasted, an offensive round goes the way of EZG, and now just like that, they're within 1 round.
It was a smart investment of the streaks, however, from Baker. They were down a player. They had so much information from those streaks, although there wasn't really much converted out of that. And after all is said and done, Baker, your star player here for the squad, is left in a 1 versus 2. He's 10-2, however. So we have faith in him to make something happen, as he's going to be completely pushing through the spawn here of EZG. But JHaze and Atura, the last ones left, are playing very safe, and they're playing together, moving around the map as a unit, as we've discussed before. This should be giving them an advantage, but smart players on both sides, meaning it's an extremely important round. 1 round separates these 2 teams. Now make it 0 rounds. After being down 4-1, EZG are now coming back 4-4.
Indeed they are. Smart play from EZG, of course, to kind of play together. I think that toward the end of that round, as the 2v1 was in play, they realized where the bomb was spotted at, and obviously played off of it as JHaze picking off the final player in Baker. Is now we're level at 4. Totally different game. We were talking about how essentially a 1 versus 1 could bring the guys from EZG back into this series, and just like that, they find themselves tied. There's only 2 more rounds needed for Zodiac to close out not just this match, not just this map, rather, but the entire tournament itself. Of course, winning map number 1 on St. Marie-du-Mont in dominant fashion. As EZG starting to feel the pressure. Parzelion firing from afar. Gets the team assist as Stumpfy from long range tosses out the nade and picks off one on the jump. 3 versus 3, Apox continuing to do Apox things. He's dominating the search and destroys, and just like that, Parzelion reveals his position. Baker is there for the pickup, and now Stumpfy, the man who started off this game a little bit slow, could easily wipe away that early start. He could bring his team back to the lead in this search and destroy, one that looked totally unlikely. But can Stumpfy find this 5th round? 1 versus 2. Baker and Tisch in his way. Bomb not in his hands. A pretty awkward spot, to say the least, for this man. But could get a decent line sight, and if he were to run a little bit faster, could get a line sight into Baker, but no, not going to happen. Yet again, Baker is there to end the show, to stop things when they start to look likely. As just like that, Zodiac find themselves on tournament point in that last round.
Well, Zodiac stopping the hot streak there pretty early. It was 3 consecutive rounds there for EZG Zodiac, and a 2 versus 1, playing this smartly, playing it together. And, you know, there was still some potential from the side of EZG coming for the flank. Could have got the double kill very easily if he spotted them off guard. Nonetheless, we'll be looking at Zodiac here to maybe close out the tournament here on offense. Look at this full-out rush from EZG. They do not care. They either want it all or they want round 11.
But Baker's a fighter pilot.
Well, there's a fighter pilot. I don't even hear it. I don't even see it. And finally, there it is from the side of Zodiac. It knows where these players from EZG are. And now in a 3 versus 3, this is for the money.
This is a huge round. Is right now in the back lines. It's Baker watching the flank, and player number 2 right around the corner, Parzelion, the man who played the A side and is on a full-fledged flank. Can he win the gunfight? But no, a huge win for Baker. Now sitting at 14-3, gives his team the man count advantage. And now has one more player just right behind him inside a barrel building. That's going to be Atura. Does he check it is the question. Needs to win this one. Gets the melee off, but can't find the kill in total as Jump takes out JHaze. This one is all on Atura. Needs to complete the hat trick to force the round 11. Spotting out Jump on the bomb, but pre-fires. This has been an issue for EZG in this exact same position. It was JHaze a few rounds ago. But can Atura turn the tide? 1 on 2. Tisch holding a head glitch. It's not going to be there. Zodiac will win map number 2, 6 rounds to 4 here on London Docks, and the entire tournament as well. Congratulations to Zodiac, as they are going to be your $300 minimum 4v4 variant champions here on January 9th.
Well, congratulations to Baker as well. 14-4. Give him all of the prize money, let's be honest. He started so many rounds off with those first blood grenades, holding middle map, making it so hard for EZG to make an offense going. 4 consecutive rounds that Zodiac started off at the very beginning. And Atura left in that 1 versus 2, needed to win that gunfight against the bomb carrier to make it even possible. As soon as he lost it, they knew he didn't cross over into fire. So it was an easy prediction knowing he was going to come from behind in a 2 versus 1. And especially how they were set up, very hard gunfight for Atura to win. But still a very close S&D after Zodiac started off 4-1. EZG made it almost a round 11 potential.
Yeah, EZG started to kind of, and I think this is something that we can bring up throughout both of these maps, right? It was Zodiac who has the hot start. It's EZG who, you know, over time starts to make a little bit of a comeback. But I think generally throughout this entire tournament, we learned a lot about EZG. It was the fact of how talented these guys can be at different moments, especially with their PPSH play. We also have to kind of keep in mind Parzelion's play as well. With the assault rifle was doing damage, of course, in their last series in the semifinal versus Gravity Gaming. Drops 48 kills on London Docks especially, which isn't really known as a assault rifle map. Does exactly that and nearly drops 50 kills, which is obviously very, very important to mention. Along with EZG's performance, they take out, like I said, Gravity Gaming in the semis, and prior to that series in the quarterfinals, they also took out Lethal Gaming in a map number 3 position there as well, winning the CTF in pretty dominant. I think it was like 6-2 on London Docks as well. So with that in mind, like I said, EZG, they play very solid throughout this entire tournament. I was kind of expecting once the bracket was made and started to kind of see how things were lined out, probably was expecting Zodiac to make their way here, but if we can actually pull up the bracket to kind of see how things obviously lined out for tonight, we can obviously witness to see how everything kind of lined out for the most part, as of course we look here at both these teams, how they got to this point. EZG, of course, like we just discussed, at the top of the bracket, made their way here to the finals after facing off against some talented groups, but also Zodiac didn't have the easiest of matches as well, as they faced off against BM, took them out in a pretty dominant way, and also Gone Gaming, a group who we got to actually watch that exact match where, you know, granted, they obviously have looked pretty strong when it comes to Search and Destroy, but in the end, it was Zodiac who won Map 1 in a dominant fashion and cleaned up the S&D as well. Generally, when it comes down to Zodiac, I think something that I really noticed from this team is that regardless of this, you know, ending map here where Baker finishes off 14-4, I mean, toward the beginnings of this round, to the beginning rounds rather of this London Docks, a lot of the hard points that we got to watch between, you know, whether it was a dominant victory or even a close victory. Generally for Zodiac, they're a consistent team. I think it's fair to say, Jin. I mean, like I said, there were times where we were watching, Jump have a super strong performance, especially finding, I think he went on like a 9 streak in the first hardpoint here versus EZG on St. Marie du Mans. Obviously, Baker has his strong performances when it comes to hardpoint and Search and Destroy alike. And obviously, Apox performance with that sniper rifle. I mean, he was going off in Search and Destroys and also in the hardpoint prior to this one as well. I mean, generally, I think when you look at this team, it's kind of Baker and Apox who are leading the way for the most part. But generally, this is a very well-rounded, all-around all-around solid team. Granted, didn't really get to watch them in CTF, but still, I think when it comes to Hardpoint Search and Destroy, this is a team I think who definitely has to be on your radar when it comes to the open bracket at CWL NOLA.
Well, of course, got to be on your radar for NOLA. They've gotten great practice in this tournament. Also, Zodiac's a reoccurring top placer in these UMG tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if they got first or second place in the last one that I casted. But like you said, very consistently strong team. And their synergy, they're working on improving it every day. And you can tell in these S&Ds how they glide through these rounds, getting first and second blood most of the time because they're able to coordinate their numbers to their advantage.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fair to say Zodiac, like I said, kind of coming to CWL NOLA, they have been, or not even just even NOLA, but even Dallas as well. I mean, this is a group who I think since our very first variant tournament, this entire team, or even the Zodiac lineup, which actually had Nox and Godlike on it before, Tisch and Apox obviously made their mark here on this team. But even before that tournament, before that roster change made place, this was a team who was playing in our very first variant tournament. I remember kind of seeing this team, and it was kind of like, wow, like these guys are actually like really, really talented, and kind of just being witness to what was this Zodiac lineup. These guys have been playing in a number of our obviously different variant tournaments, and obviously are getting some fantastic practice. And like I said, I think have kind of built themselves into having a very solid team. I think picking up Tisch and Apox along with obviously Baker and Jump kind of complement them very well as far as the roles are considered, and kind of complete them in ways that they probably were kind of hoping that they would find. So with that, obviously we have to give a big GGs, of course, to Zodiac, but also to EZG for making the run that they did.